If Trump decides to kick everybody else, where are you going to go? If they start kicking everybody out, go back to your country. Where are they going to go? I'm going straight home to Africa, in my village where the land, I got a land 30 acres, 40 acres. Where the African American going to go?
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. There's a new guy who's causing some trouble here on social media, and the Instagram name of the guy is called Rich Off Hate Podcast. Almost every clip, he's in a video with a white woman, and a lot of what he does is self-deprecating humor.
What color would your kids be? My kids are going to be crispy, my guy. And my kids are going to be crispy. Like I said, I'm going to flood the whole United States. When I get my papers done, when I finally get my visa, it's a game over, guys.
Now, this guy is making fun of himself while sitting up there next to a white woman as if, this is something that's funny or whatever. And then what he doesn't understand is by doing this, you're not getting any respect from her. You're not getting any respect for anybody. You are behaving like a sellout. But then his content starts to be directed more or less at Black Americans.
Why African are way more successful than Black American? African come to United States with intention to build legacy. Black American are comfortable. In Africa, you don't work, you don't eat. In America, you don't work, that's welfare. Because African people don't pick and choose what job to do. They do any job. Black American don't want to work a dirty job. Black American don't want to work at a factory. Black American wants to get rich fast. African built. African come to the United States with high level of skills, degree, diploma. Black American don't want to do that. They want fast money. Play some basketball, be a rapper, be a football player, and then a couple years down the line, they go broke.
So now he's saying African immigrants are beating Black Americans. Here's the truth. He talks about some of the talking points that we have heard before. Black Americans are lazy. They want quick money. And I find that very interesting because, like I said, I live in Africa, and it's easy for me to say the same thing about many people that live here. I mean, if you want to talk about being, short-sighted, listen, talk to any Nigerian in America, talk to any Ghanaian in America, Uganda in America, they'll tell you the same thing that he is talking about with us could probably be applied to not only Africans, but anybody, okay? But again, you won't ever see me on the video saying stuff like that. Yes, some African immigrants are beating Black Americans. It's true. But if this was also the case, then why don't those same Africans develop Africa? All right. And we're not discounting that Africa has talent. We know that they do. But if African immigrants are beating Black Americans at such a great level, then we could see the continent of Africa developing at a higher level. Now, I do understand that gatekeeping is a big thing in Africa, and I can understand how it could keep people, out of bay, and meritocracy is not so rewarded. But again, if Africans are so much greater than African Americans, then the innovation of meritocracy would be rewarded. Certainly, we see certain countries doing it in Africa already. Look at Kenya, really straightforward with meritocracy in comparisons to other nations. So he's talking about how great Africans are and African immigrants are. But then again, if they were that great, we would see more development in Africa itself. Okay. But then the next point is this.
If Trump decides to kick everybody else, where are you going to go? If they start kicking everybody out, go back to your country. Where are they going to go? I'm going straight home to Africa, in my village where the land, I got a land 30 acres, 40 acres. Where the African American gonna go? You got no place. You can't go nowhere. Jamaican are gonna go back home. Haitian are gonna go back home. Anybody from Colombia are gonna go back home. Brazilian gonna go back home. Mexican gonna go back home. Where you guys gonna go? Where you gonna go? Nowhere. And I need you guys to screenshot this. I need you to put it anywhere. Matter of fact, I wanna go viral like this. So we can talk. We can have that conversation. Where are the African American gonna go? So that's exactly my point. This is what I'm saying to you guys. Because African American been there for years, they still can't be claimed. They still the most disrespected people. This might go from one ear to the next, but you guys are gonna understand me one day. They're the most disrespected race in the world. They get pulled over by the cops. Cops are doing all kinds of stuff. African American claim that, America is so good. Oh, you African booty scratcher. Okay, I can take my booty scratching self to Africa, back home. Where you gonna go?
He talks about if African Americans aren't Africans, then where's home? He could pick up his stuff tomorrow. He can go back home. He has land, all right? Now, the reality is a lot of Africans do have land in their home, 30, 40 acres. But then here's the kicker. Even with that land, it's still not worth what the opportunities you would have in the United States. So then what you have at home becomes a backup plan that you can develop. It's not as good as what the United States has. In your case, you're in America with a white lady. So obviously that was your dream. But then Brother Tariq Nasheed gets involved.
This whole, we don't have nowhere to run stuff. We don't have no home to go to. Listen, we are home. This is our home. Let me say that again. Yeah, that's why they like the term African American to be put on us, because they're like, well, they know that they've delineated. They know that Africa is not our home now. They know that. They know that. This is why they're saying that. They say stuff like this. Africa, we don't have a home in Africa. We don't. This is why we say foundational Black American, and they have a problem with it because you can't flex on that. This is our home. We're already where we're from. Foundational Black Americans, ladies and gentlemen, and I was breaking this down on Vlad, we are not immigrants. We don't have an immigrant lineage. You understand? We didn't leave one country to go to a better country. We, foundational Black Americans, ladies and gentlemen, built this country from the ground up. We built it from scratch. We built it from the soil up.
Tariq Nasheed says, listen, we are home, all right? We don't have an immigrant lineage. So where do we run to? We can't run to where we are. Africa is no longer our home. And I want to talk about this because for many Black Americans that get the harsh reality of living on the continent of Africa, don't get me wrong, there's some great people here, but quickly you will find out that when you come to Africa, as many positives as Africa has and opportunities, you are not going to be treated as this is a homecoming. When Africans, for the most part, local Africans interact with you in Africa, I mean, they're going about their way, their day, they're trying to survive themselves. They don't really have the time or the energy to be trying to just treat you like a homecoming because they don't know you, just like you don't know them. They've never seen you. So again, they're just living their lives as well. All right. So this cannot be our home. It would take us many, many years to live here, many, many years to get acquainted. It'd take 50, 60, 70 years for us to really establish this as our home, to be in the society, to understand how things work. Our home is in the United States, and it was forceful. And Tariq Nasheed talks about how we built the country, but he defines how we built it.
Several different circumstances. Through forced labor, through our invention and ingenuity, we fought all of the wars, and we struggled to survive. If anybody's going to get kicked out, that's going to be the descendants of immigrants, not the owners of the blood equity in this land. We're not getting kicked out. They'll harass us. We're used to that. We're under global white supremacy. Yeah, we don't have a fleeing plan. We don't have a backup plan because we built the original plan, ladies and gentlemen.
He mentions certain things. Now, when we say this, we built this country, folks laugh, right? Some people can laugh at it, but he gives concrete information. He talks about forced labor. He talks about the inventions and the intellectual contribution to America that in many cases were stolen, both private sector, both infrastructural, if you want to talk about gospel music, if you want to talk about the arts, you want to talk about sports, all of our contributions have been made in America, okay? And which builds the country. When you look at basketball players, sports, when you look at certain arts, when you look at Dr. Charles Drew and his invention, those are the things that help develop the nation. So when Tariq Nasheed is saying that we helped build this country or we built this country, he's not lying through forced labor and through innovation. So he's not lying when he says that. And then when he said, listen, as far as what the plan is, we built the plan. Now, again, this is an argument that's in bad faith. What if Trump kicks you out tomorrow? Let me just say this. This argument has always been had when it came to blacks. And one of the things is if whites really wanted black Americans to be back in Africa and to have a real relationship with Africa, that would have happened. And in fact, they tried it in Liberia, all right? The reason why they didn't let all of black America go to Liberia is because it was too much of a talent gap leaving, okay? It was too much skill leaving, all right? It was too much innovation leaving. So then you will also be letting a lot of your workforce go. You'll be letting a lot of your intellectual situations go. And then that will put you at a disadvantage. People benefit from having, I would even say United States to a certain degree. When you have immigration coming to the United States, to a certain degree, if they stay long enough, they will be able to contribute to the country. Just like me living in Uganda, if I stay here long enough, I will contribute my skills that I have developed from somewhere else in this country. And yes, some people come to America with skills, but then again, talking about where you're gonna go, then you can't go nowhere else. And that's a bad argument because that would never happen. You cannot deport somebody when they don't have a home but that is their home. Now, if where you got is so good, it's a last resort. That means that you don't want to go there. Let me give you an example. I was talking to an older brother who went to college in the 60s. And around the 50s and the 60s, you had certain African countries after independence, such as Nigeria. And I don't know what the currency was called at the time, but from what I could recollect, what he told me was the Nigerian currency was not just on par with the dollar. It was worth more than the dollar. This was the same thing with Zimbabwe. When Zimbabwe got its independence in 1980, their currency was not just on par with the dollar. It was worth more than the dollar, all right? So in the case of many Africans coming out of colonialism, they had more opportunity in Africa than in America. Most of your early Liberians who were been sent over by William Tubman and his administration, they were graduating the university and coming right back to Liberia. The brother was telling me that he would see Nigerian college students. Some of them had Corvettes, brand new cars in America, okay? And then when they would graduate from those schools in America, they would go right back to Nigeria where they had more opportunity. You cannot tell me if Africans saw that it was more opportunity where they lived, they would not stay there. This is why you don't see so many Saudis in America. This is why you don't see so many Qataris in America. You don't see many Emiratis in America because where they live has more opportunity than where you see in America. So your backup plan is not the same opportunity as in America. That's the reality. Who would move to unfamiliar place? Like, let's say for me, if I was able to get into an American medical school, which I didn't because my grades were not good enough, I would have never went to Poland to go to medical school. I would have stayed in America. Why would I go to Poland and do all that extra stuff when I can get into medical school in America? It only makes sense that I would do it in America, right? So you only go outside of the country when something is wrong in your country. I can always go back to America, but the opportunity for me, it was the best to leave, to be uncomfortable. So when the guys talk like this, it don't make sense because you don't want to go back there. I live in Uganda, okay? I love Uganda, but there's so many people you talk to every day. Like, why are you here? Why don't you go back? If I were you, I would not be living here. What does that tell you? It tells you while they may love their country, they don't feel like they have the right opportunity within the country. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy Shady Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. I appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.